And there we are. All right. Hello, hello. Yes, it is Friday. We got the gang in here. We are getting you guys started with lower body strength and conditioning, or shall I say conditioning and strength, because we are going to be flipping and starting off with a nice spicy conditioning circuit and then getting going on our strength after we finish that. Of course, we'll have a warm-up as well to start. We'll not need any equipment in the warm-up for our conditioning and strength. We are going to need some stuff. Over here, I have my 8-pound dumbbells, my loop band, as well as a towel. We got one more hopping in here because we are going to be using this towel on the floor, sliding it around so you can grab a towel or grab your actual sliders themselves. Yes. And we are going to use all that stuff in our workout. So let's get you started with this warm-up, which is going to come to the end of our mat, standing hip width apart in the feet, soft knees. We'll bring our hands down to the floor and we'll walk ourselves all the way down to the bottom. When we get here, we're going to lift those hips up to the ceiling, drop one heel while bending the opposite knee, and we'll walk that out 6 total. So 3 per side, walking it out, and then we'll lower those hips back down to that plank, walk our hips back up. Hands to the top, reach our arms up, and then do it again. We're going to do 3 of those total. So again, walking down to the bottom, nice strong plank. Hips go up. We'll walk out opposite, 6 of those total. So we have one more hopping in. Woohoo, full house today. Okay, so we'll go through our last one of those. There it is. Come on in. All right, so as we come to an end, the next one is a lunge. So we're going to need some space behind us, arms down by our sides, stepping back into that lunge, sending both of our arms above our head. We'll go through 10 total, 5 per side. Nothing fancy happening in these ones, just both arms go up, you go down, alternating legs, right side, left side, and 10 of those, 5 on each side. For the next one, we'll also need some space in front of us. And I'll show you why, because we don't want to kick anything over in our house. We're going to be stepping back into the lunge and then kicking our leg forward and reaching towards that opposite foot. Staying on one side for these ones, we'll go through 10 over here on this leg, and then we'll switch and we'll do 10 on the other. It's not our first time doing these. We know the drill. It's very important to keep our legs straight, especially that standing bottom one. We don't want to have any sort of knee bending happening. So let's get that going on. 10 on one side, 10 on the other. Kicking it up, maybe seeing if you can get the leg a little higher as you go through those 10. But you know, it is still early and probably haven't done too much before this, so we'll just ease into it on both sides. We'll move through those ones. There it is. Okay. So 10 and 10. We'll finish those ones up. As we are coming to an end, the next one we're going to get ourselves into a squat stance. Feet a little bit wider than our hips. We have that angle out on our toes. I stick my arms above my head and keep them up here as we go through these overhead squats. So arms stay up the entire time. We're trying to get down to 90 degrees. And then stand all the way up tall so we never see our hands because they're staying above our head. And we'll go through 10 of those ones total. With the arms above the head. There you go. 10 of them. Very nice. And where is my list? I always have like the first 4 memorized. Okay. Very nice. The next one is down on the floor. So as you come to an end on those squats, you can come on down here and join me in a plank position. We're going to pop up into a high plank, hands, toes, stepping in one side, and then we'll bring it back into the plank, stepping in the other side, back into the plank. That's 2. We're doing 10 of those total, seeing if we can get our foot close to beside our hand, but not forcing anything or stressing out. This should be comfortable, shouldn't be too painful, no pinching in the hips. And we'll go through 10 of them total, 5 on each side, where we're stepping in that foot. Very nice. Getting those going to warm us up. Do not go anywhere once you're finished because we're going to stay down here. But flip onto our back for the last two. Okay, so these last couple are all about our glutes, our hips. We're going to start off getting into this bridging position. We should feel our heels, but with a bit of a reach. We want to take our lower back and squish it down into the floor so it's very tight under there. Hands can go down beside your hips. We'll drive our hips up to the very top of that bridge. When we're up here, we're going to lift up our right leg, put it back down, lift up our left leg, put it back down, and then we'll lower the hips, touching the back, not the butt. That's one rep. Okay, so we got lots of stuff going on here. Lifting up that leg, trying to control what's happening in our hips. We don't want to have that tilt, that shift. We want to keep it tight, which is a little bit harder than it looks. And we'll go through that walk on both sides. And then down, back up to the top. Okay, so 10 total of this whole combination that we got going on here. Hips up, hips down, both feet equals 1. So we'll get through 10, taking our time, thinking again about the stabilizing our hips, not allowing them to move. You should feel this in the butte, in the glutes, as you go through your set. And then we have one more down here on the floor. So don't get too excited about standing up once you're done. So we'll get through those 10 as you are coming to an end. The next one's in the same position. We're going to walk our feet so that they're almost touching. They're very close compared to how they were before. Same setup in the hips. We're going to drive up to the very top. One leg is going to lift. We'll take our opposite hand and push it into that knee. So we're getting some core work happening right here. And then we lower the hips down. Again, trying to touch the back, not the butt. And then we drive up. And this is us. 15 of them. Woo! On this side. And then we'll switch. And we'll do 15 on the other. Now, anytime we are creating this pressure, I'm asking you guys to kind of push your hand, your knee together here. You want to imagine that that needs to stay tight. Okay, so if someone was to come around and try to pull your hand off or your knee off, it would not happen because it's so tight in there. So try to make that happen for yourself. 15 on that side, and then we'll switch. And you can do 15 on the other side. Okay, so another one that is definitely harder than it looks. Takes, again, some work in the core there, the glutes on that one leg. So let's get through those ones 15, 15, and then you can stand yourself up. Grab yourself some water if you like. And we are going to get you started on the first part of today's session, which is our conditioning work. We're getting the cardio done out of the way to begin with. And then we'll be moving on to our strength. So as you guys finish up, I'm going to be setting our timer here for this part, which is good news. It means you don't have to count. You just have to work until the timer goes off. So we will need our equipment. We are going to be using dumbbells for the very first exercise. We'll be holding the dumbbells in our hands, and I'll show you what that one is all about. We are set here. Okay, so we have 3 exercises that we are going to work through. 60 seconds, 1 minute on each of these. After we finish exercise A, B, and C, which are 3 movements, we're going to have 1 minute of rest. There's no time between the exercises or between the rest. So this timer is essentially just going to beep every 60 seconds, okay? So we're going to go through these first 3 movements, or the 3 movements, I should say. First one's going to be a weighted reverse lunge. We're alternating legs, so I'm going to step back, right leg, and then left leg, and we're going through this one for, again, 1 minute. Now, we can hold the weights down here right off the bat. If we want to make this harder, we can work that hold up here rather than down low. And that is going to crank this up a notch by including more core, more shoulders, okay? If you don't have weights, you're just working with the body weight, okay? Same alternating lunges. So that's going to be our first one. We're going to do that for a minute. When the timer beeps, we go right into the next one, which is why I'm talking about all of them right now. Second one is going to be a walkout. When we get to the bottom, we're going to lift up our opposite hand and opposite foot. Woo! Both sides. And then we walk up to the top. Okay, so we'll go through that one We'll give you different ways to make it harder, easier. Final one is going to be our lateral bound. Woo. So we're going to come to one side and jump ourselves over to the other, guiding that opposite hand. We've been here before. That is going to be us for that final minute. Then we have 1 full minute of rest before we do it again. And we're doing this 4 times. Okay, so we're starting off with the lunges. Grab your weights. Get ready to start in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. That was our starting beat. Let's do it. So first set. Again, we can choose what we want to do here. We'll see how we feel at the end of this minute. I'm holding the weights down here by our sides. Or if you, again, only have 1 weight, or whatever you need to do, we can hold it up here. Make it a little bit more challenging. Okay, as we go through that minute, which you are halfway there through. So we have 30 seconds left. We'll try to pace ourselves. As we're going through these lunges, we want to think about pushing our hips back. So we have a more upright position with the shin and the knee here, rather than having it drive forward. Okay, so something you can think about right now in the last 15 seconds that you have left. There we go. All right, last couple. 3, 2, 1. So we'll put those weights down, come right away into the second one. And there's no time to rest, only that last minute once we're done these 3 movements. So we'll go right into these ones. Again, walking down to the bottom. When we get here, if you can't quite do our opposite arm and leg, because it is, again, a little bit more challenging than it looks, you can start with just the legs and then do the arms. Okay, and then you can walk yourself back up to the top. So this is when we've been working on these opposite arm and leg lifts. Lots of core going on here, lots of stability as well. So that's why we feel a little wobbly, especially on these first few. Should get better as we go through our sets. So you're going to be back here. 10 more seconds left. I'll try to get through this one. There you go, last one. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, so right into that last one, our lateral bound. So this one, we are taking off, trying to jump ourselves, landing soft on that leg, moving in that lateral sideways fashion. If you do not jump, you are doing this one without the jump. We're just going to tap our foot, still try to move the arms, okay, and work through this one as quickly and as controlled as possible. 30 seconds left. We are halfway through. So yes, after we finish this one, we are going to have 1 full minute of rest. So something to look forward to. 20 more seconds left. We'll try to breathe. That exhale is going to help you be more powerful. So we'll use our breath to push ourselves through these for 10 more seconds. Let's do it. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Okay, very nice work, guys. We're going to rest now for 1 minute, and it's already started. Okay, so we can move around the space that we have, drink water, take some nice, deep, calming breaths. Overall, just try to bring our heart rate down before we get it on back up in the next set. So we will be repeating this 3 more times. Make it 4 sets total. 30 more seconds of rest though. So we will drink some water and think about how good we feel. We will be again starting back off with that first one, those weighted reverse lunges, okay? So take some more deep breaths. We're gonna wait for that timer. Don't get too excited about starting your set yet. All right, again, the goal with this rest period here is to calm yourself down. Okay, we want to feel ready so we can have a strong second set, and that starts right now. So grab onto those weights and let's do it. The second set has started. Okay, so again, we're trying to focus on pushing the hips back behind us, which is going to help us target more of the glutes, the back of the hips, rather than sort of having the knee push forward. Number 1, we're putting pressure on the knee. Number 2, we're kind of getting more work in the quad than the glute. So That makes a very big difference. So we'll think about that here. Wherever you're holding your weight, you want to push your hips back, and you are more than halfway. 25 seconds left. There it is. And you'll feel it. You'll feel the difference on the back of the hips if you do that. 15 more seconds. There you go. Okay. So last two. And time. Okay, so we'll put those weights down, and right away we will start on that second movement of our workout with our opposite lifts. Okay, which again, in theory, should be a little bit easier on the second set. We've kind of woken up all our little stabilizing muscles that help support us when we lift up our arm and our leg. And that being said, some of us are still working up to this one. So if you find that you kind of fall over every time you go to lift up your arm and your leg, start with just the leg. Okay, and then you can do the arms, and eventually you'll build up that strength, strengthen your core and that stability to be able to control your hips. But it does take time, practice, which is why we have this one in here on a regular basis. 10 more seconds left for you to see if you can tighten it up. There you go. For your second set. 3, 2, 1, and get on up here. Final one, our lateral bounds. So we'll go right into these ones here. Yeah, trying our best to land as soft as possible. That is the goal, to absorb our shock, make little to no noise on our landing, and that is for the sake of our joints. Help them keep them as safe as long as possible. 30 seconds left. So this is definitely one where you have to pace yourself, okay? Not push too hard at the beginning so that you can maintain for the entire minute. So you have 20 seconds left. Maybe we want to speed it up a bit towards the end here, but the control is the most important. We don't want to just be flailing and flapping all over the place. We want our arms and our legs, everything working together. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and resting. Okay, so this is our rest minute, what we've been waiting for. So we will take this time again to move around. It's going to help us overall feel better than if we just stand still or sit or like lean over the wall. That movement is overall going to help you calm down, bring your heart rate down, which again is what we're looking for in this rest period. So are those deep breaths. By just breathing really shallow and short into our chest, we're not really getting that oxygen in, and we're not really calming down our body. So we'll try to breathe deep into our belly. 20 more seconds left, okay? 2 more sets, and then if I do say so myself, maybe the hardest part of today's session will be over after this conditioning. Maybe, if you want to ask me about it. We'll see. We feel the strength. All right, so we're going to start our third set in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right, we'll grab those weights. Start that third set. Back to our first one, our reverse lunges. Let's do it. Okay, working through these ones. Channeling our skater squats. It's something that we want to think about in our lunges. When we step back, we don't want to be using that back foot to push ourselves off the floor. But we want to think about that front leg and hip pulling ourselves up. So especially if you are using light dumbbells or no dumbbells at all, or just working with body weight, that's something that we can think about, is sort of lifting up that back leg down there, and you'll feel the difference. Just try it. 15 seconds left. There you go. All right. Third set. 1 more on each side. 3, 2, 1. And I'll put them down onto our next set. Now, for those of you who are finding that maybe this is getting a little easy, something that we can think about is bringing our opposite hand and knee together and touching them underneath us rather than just lifting. So this is going to be, of course, a lot more challenging than just that basic lift. okay? Because we're having to actually move together and bring that contact in. But we have this set and we have one more. So if that's something that you want to try, you can try it out, all right? Optional. 25 seconds left. We'll get a few more of these in, taking our time and trying to keep our core tight. There it is. Sometimes you just have to think about it a little bit. Before we lift up the arm and the leg, try to kind of tighten up first, lift up second. 5 seconds. Last one. 3, 2, 1. Stand up. And the last of our third set, our lateral bounds. Okay, so this one, definitely a leg burner, okay? But we can also control that by sitting lower or not so low as we go through these bounds. If I go down and I load up my leg and I get it all the way down like this, it's going to be a lot more challenging on my legs than if I don't, and I kind of sit more up high like this. So you're in control of that. You have 30 seconds left, okay? You know we have a whole session of leg strength after this, okay? But you might benefit more from getting lower and making this more challenging over not, all right? So 20 seconds. Yes, it's gonna be harder, but that's why you're here, to do that hard stuff that you probably wouldn't do on your own time. 10 seconds left. There you go. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Amazing work. Okay, so this is our last minute rest period. Though of course we're gonna rest and pull you down after we're finished this circuit, but we have one more round of it only, okay? So we're gonna take this time right now, 40 seconds left to breathe and all that stuff that we talked about, and then we will be doing our final set of our conditioning. Okay, so this next one is the last one, the moment you've been waiting for. Finish up this cardio session. And we got the strength work, which again might be the easier part, depending on you and your body. We'll see. So 15 more seconds here. All right, this is the final set. So we'll try to make this our strongest set that we've done. We know what's going on. Our body's done this. Okay, our brain knows what to expect. So let's try to push ourselves here. Ready? Ready and not. Let's do it. Last set. Set number 4. Okay, here we go. Starting that final set. Again, trying to use that front leg to pull yourself up. A little bit of less pressure in the back foot goes a long way, and you'll feel it. You feel that work that you get in your hips, your glutes. And the more you can do that, the stronger that you are going to be in these. And that is the goal. 30 seconds left. There you go. Okay, so standing up nice and tall between each rep. Trying to keep it even on both sides, because we might have one side kind of a little bit stronger than the other. Try to keep it even. 10 more seconds left, especially now. All right, last one. 3, 2, 1, and put those weights down, and we are on to our second one. Last set of our opposite arm, opposite leg lifts. So again, if you want to try something a bit more challenging, we can try to bring those opposite legs together in that plank, touching our hand to our knee. Again, if your hips are tilting and shifting, we need to control that first before we start thinking about doing that one. Okay, 30 seconds left. I don't know how I'm still wearing a long sleeve. It's so warm in here. Woo! Sometimes I just forget. Okay, 20 seconds. Let's go. Let's go. There we are. Last chance. Maybe one more. This one and one more maybe. There it is. Control 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And standing up. Finishing off with our final one, our lateral bounce. Let's do it. Okay, taking us to the finish line. Best for last. Just kidding. This one might be the hardest one because we are tired and it's the last one. Okay, but again, we'll finish strong. Thinking about that exhale. Trying to be more powerful, more explosive and land just as soft, all right? 30 more seconds, and we are done jumping around for today, for the week. Yay. All right, 20 seconds left. Pacing ourselves so that we do not have to stop. There it is. Let's pick up our pace here. Last 10 seconds, last chance. All right, pushing ourselves. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay. Okay, we are done. So what we're gonna do now is rest. I have the timer here running for a minute. It's just a running clock though, it's not gonna beep or anything. Where I want you guys to rest. Try to cool yourself down, calm yourself down, basically do what we did between our rounds, but know that you are finished. You don't have to go back and do another set. It's a very nice feeling. So hopefully you feel good. If you don't, you will in a little bit here as we cool down, and as we get you started on our lower body strength. So we're gonna be starting off with a superset, working with 2 exercises. The first one is going to include this towel right here. We're going to be sliding it on the floor, but not for like the hamstring curl. I have it, and I'm going to just fold my mat up a little bit here. I have it squared off like this. You can, again, use your actual sliders, nice fuzzy socks, something like that. But some of us don't actually have this as an option because we don't have a floor that slides. So if you don't have a slippery floor, then you're going to do the same thing without the towel, just following along. We're doing our 3-point extension. So we'll start off with this one. Standing up, nice and tall. Foot has that towel underneath it. We want soft knees. Push the hips back so that we're loaded up. We'll shift all of the weight into this hip. I'm going to turn to the front so you can see what's happening. This leg is going to be sent out to the side, back on a 45, and then straight back behind that hip. Okay, slight angle as that's the way our hip wants to go. And then we go out to the side, back to that sideways one, okay, 45, behind the hip, counting every one of these, and we'll be doing 15 total. So it's going through that whole cycle about 3 times. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll let you guys go through that. And if you don't have the towel, we are just tapping that foot, trying to, again, essentially balance and keep all of our weight right here. And you'll feel it a lot in your hip if you have this positioning correctly. The hips back, okay, and we stay loaded in this leg. Let's get this on both sides, okay? 15 over here, 15 over there. There it is. And then we are going to have a little something going on with this one, which is our Sumo Deadlifts. Welcome. So we're going to get ourselves set up here. I'm going to be using my dumbbells. We have this wide set stance in our feet, wider than our hips and our squat stance. We have an angle out on our toes. I'm going to pick up my weights, holding them in front of me like this. And the dumbbells are quite wide. I'm going to turn my hands so my palms are facing together, or else they're just going to hit my knees and it's not very comfortable. Starting off, shoulder blades together, we're going to push the hips back, bend the knees, so we're sinking into that deadlift, and then standing up to the top, counting 15 total of these ones. Okay, so we'll turn to the side so we can see what's going on over here. Again, we want hips back. As soon as these dumbbells are right above the knees, we bend into that deadlift, but we want to make sure that our hips are staying higher than our knees, that our hips aren't down here, but they're rather lifted up in this position. Okay, and we're going through 15 reps. Hips back, you should feel lots of tension in the hamstrings, in the glutes. All right, we want to push our knees out. Lots of stuff, but it all makes a big difference. So let's go through 15. If you are without dumbbells, we can take a loop band, hold it sideways in our hands like this, and go through our set. Okay, 15 of them. All right. Okay, so we're going to repeat 3 more sets with no rest in between. So as soon as we finish those deadlifts, I feel like I'm just a little bit shoved in this corner here. I'm just gonna make myself a bit more space. There we go. So as soon as we're finished those deads, we are gonna move back on to our 3-point extensions, okay? So back to these ones here. I definitely encourage you guys to have that same maybe a little bit of an excessive setup, but again, it ensures that you're going to get this in the right place. So standing tall, the soft knees, the hips back, and you'll feel that tightness. And then as soon as you shift the weight, it's all in this hip. Okay, and I know this is a moving leg here. Sometimes we think it should be feeling in that side, but it's this side, it's this hip. This is where we're getting the work. Okay, we have to make sure that that knee is being pushed out. We don't have any of this inward action happening, and you can check on that. Okay, just look down and you'll see it. Okay, and then you push it out and you'll feel the difference that that makes. So we'll go through our second set, again counting 15 of these ones for the hips. Okay, getting that going on back there. There you go. I gotta turn this fireplace down. It is hot. All right, so we'll let you guys get through your second set with you. All right, very nice. So we'll get through that second round of our deadlifts. Okay, and we can most likely, most of us, okay, because most of us have like 1 or 2 sets of dumbbells, and they're probably not the heaviest dumbbells in the world. Most of us can probably deadlift a lot heavier than this. If you do have those heavier weights, you can try them, okay, but make sure that you can keep your form good for those 15 reps. If you're finding that your back is starting to round, anything like that, you can always use 1 dumbbell, because I know some of us have like some big honking dumbbells in the corner, like some 35s and 40s, and holding 2 of those is a bit intense, but you can hold 1 sideways like this, or even lengthwise like this, and again, it's just going to make you be able to work with that sort of heavier weight, especially if you have like maybe a set of like 30s or 40s and then a set of 10s, you might benefit a bit more from trying that heavier one. Because I know most of you can. So I've seen what some of you can do, and you are all, the deadlift's a very strong movement, so are you guys. Okay, so we'll get through our third set. We're doing 4, did I mention that? Hopefully. 4 rounds total, so you've done 2 already. We have 2 more to go. Again, trying to limit our rest, okay? So from the deadlifts, woo, we go right back into these ones, and that's where we're really gonna start to feel more. Every set that we go through is gonna hopefully be more challenging, okay, and make us feel more work in those places that we have talked about, AKA back of the hips. So that's kind of the focus here on these 2. All right, so we'll get that third set. There we go. Another reminder, especially if you are working with something maybe a little heavier, is to set those shoulder blades back. So by pulling my shoulders back like this, and then going through my set, you can see how straight my back is, like this, compared to if I was to let them sort of round forward or just not pull them back. We sort of end up doing a bit of this forward rounded situation, and this is not promoting good posture, first of all, and we're going to be practicing that forward position here, which makes us prone to rounding our back. So that's a very important step, shoulders back, and then you can start your set of those deadlifts. There we go. Awesome, okay. So we have 1 more round, this one, and 1 more. We're doing good for time. I keep forgetting to charge my watch, and it dies at like 7 a.m. and I'm like, damn it. Okay, but we have about 2 more minutes to finish up this final set here. Okay, so again, right from the deadlifts, we'll go right into our last set of those extensions. 1 more deadlift set, and then we are moving on to part 2. All right. Let's get it. Okay, so again, hips back. Think about driving that knee out a little bit more. Okay, the more we can have that knee sort of pushing out like this rather than coming in like this, the more we're going to activate the muscles in the sides of our hips. Okay, so that's where we're going to get this work. And some of us might need to think about that a little bit more than others. because I'm always talking about your glutes. They're very lazy muscles, and those of us who maybe sit a little bit more than others, or who naturally just don't really feel their glutes and certain stuff, you might need a little bit more thought back there. Okay, so this is the last set, so we'll try to get that going on. We will have about 1 more minute to finish up, and then what is next? That is next. Okay. Very nice. Actually, we don't need this down. Okay, so as we are finishing up our last set of deadlifts, we're going to move on to the next part, which we will be needing those dumbbells, potentially your bands, but we are going to put the towel aside for now. We'll bring them back out for the last part here. So once you're finished, you can grab yourself some water. Think about how good your legs feel. You should be feeling the back of the hips. And that's going to continue into the next part here. We're going into some single leg deadlifts. So we're going to be holding our dumbbells on one side, ideally. So I have 2 of them. So I'm going to stack my dumbbells one on top of the other like this, so that I have the weight on one side. Not only does that involve our core here, but it's also going to allow us to rest our hand and grip strength, because we have 2 movements where we're going to be holding the weights, okay? Or if you are not working with dumbbells, you are using a band. A loop band can be anchored around opposite foot on the floor, held in opposite hand. And of course, if you have heavy dumbbells, you don't need 2. You can just grab one heavier one. So we're going to shift the weight, same way we did in that kickback, softening, pushing the hips back behind us, tapping into that balance, driving the hips forward at the top, a little bit of forward drive in this knee so that we come to full extension all the way up and we don't touch the foot down. Okay, so we're going back and then we're driving up, going through 10 reps per side. So again, tapping into that balance, trying to keep this arm out and strong. All right, I'm gonna kick the wall there. And we go down right below the knee and then drive the hips forward, okay? So again, in this one, we're trying to think about the hips back, hips forward situation, rather than bringing our chest and arm down. So really trying to stick our butt out, okay? And then pull it forward, getting that work in the hamstring, the back of the leg, and again, back of the hips, 10 on each side, okay? So we'll start off here. On this one, there we are. Okay. So again, if you're banding, we have looped around opposite foot, and you can always add more than one band. Usually we have maybe 1 or 2 of them, so you can double them up if you want to make this a bit more challenging. Okay, so with this one, we are going into a double leg, straight leg deadlift. So a 2-leg version of what we just did. I'm standing hip width apart now. Soft knees, a nice posture. Weights are in front of me, and I'm going to push my hips back and drag the weights down my legs. When I get to the bottom here, I want to squeeze my butt to lift myself up to the top. And that was 1, and we are doing 15 of these. So hips back. Squeeze the butt, lift ourselves up. That's 2, okay? Taking our time, feeling that stretch at the bottom, and then feeling that squeeze that brings us up. Okay, very important. We're not just standing up and then squeezing. We want to be active and conscious to get that going on down here. And it's definitely something that you have to focus on and think about, especially on this first set or your first few reps of each set. And then as we do it, it kind of becomes more natural, and you'll feel the work that you're going to get back here, okay? So we'll go through those 15 total. Same rules apply. If you don't have the dumbbells, we're going to hold the band like this, okay? Ideally, we do want some weight in our hands, but again, some of us don't have it as an option. So this is the one you can do instead. 15 of them. Now, once we're finished, I don't want you to go right into your next set. I would like you to take that 30 to 45 seconds of rest before we start our second set. We'll be going through this one and 3 more. So we're making that 4 total, okay? We do want to take some rest because both of these movements are very similar, okay? We have that hamstring focus, which you feel, and of course that glute focus, which also feel. So we're gonna give ourselves some time, grab some water, take in at least 30 seconds. We will try to keep the rest under a minute though, so that we can get through all this stuff that we have left to do, which is really not a lot. It's this part, and then we have one more superset after this. But take your rest, and then once that time is up, we will go into our second round. Back to that first one, our single leg deadlifts. So if you have one side that is harder than the other, noticeably harder than the other, I would highly suggest that you start on that harder side. I always talk about my right side. My right side is not as strong as my left side, which is very weird because I am right-handed, but it's something that I know. So I always start on my right leg, and that's me personally. You might be the opposite, whatever it is. And that way I have a stronger set over here, and I don't make my little imbalance situation that I know I have any worse. Okay, so some of you might not have that at all, but most of us do. And it's normal, but we do need to be aware of it, which is why we talk about it. All right, so second set, 10, 10, and then 15 of these ones. So we'll feel similar stuff in both of these. By the time we get to our double leg, straight leg deadlift that we're doing, every single rep, okay, we should really feel it going on back there. We want to think about the same thing as that single leg, which I very much so emphasize, how important it is to stick your butt out and push your hips back and pull them forward. We want the movement in the hips so that they actually move back behind you. They don't just stay still and you kind of come forward. Okay, we want to think about consciously driving back behind us. And you'll feel that tension that it creates. Let's get it here on our second set. Okay. And then we rest. Resting, resting, resting. Okay. So for these rest periods, unlike the cardio or the conditioning, you don't necessarily have to like move around and walk around. When we're resting for our strength, you could very well be sitting on your chair on a bench. You could be standing. You don't have to move. It doesn't really matter. What's most important is that you're not using the leg muscles that we're using in these sets. Okay, which again, hamstrings, glutes. All right, so take the rest. Water is always, it's always a good thing to drink water between our sets because it gets the water in. Sometimes I struggle to drink enough water in a day, so I always make sure to drink between my sets in training. And makes me pee 100 times, but it makes sure that I get it in. So there's your reminder. All right, so we have 2 more rounds. Back to our deadlifts. Okay, so when we're working with the balance, which some of us might be struggling a lot with, although you guys on the screen are all looking real good, real balance. If someone's struggling so much so with balance that every time we come up, they have to sort of touch their foot down, and then they touch their foot down. If that's happening to you, you are missing out on so much for that standing working leg. So rather than that, maybe find a wall or a chair couch or something that you can raise your hand against so that we can have a little bit of support for our balance. Okay, nothing like death grip over here, but just a light grip so that we don't have to touch that foot down. And yes, you're going to feel much more work, much more of that sort of crampy, aching sensation in your hip, the good working pain, but that is, again, going to give you more out of these deadlifts, okay, rather than you touching your foot down. And sometimes it's hard to know how important it is, but that is part of the game on this one, is that little balance work at the top. So we'll make sure to do it. Okay, so we do have about 4 more minutes, which is plenty of time to get through this set, rest a little, and then do 1 more. That's what's up. And then again, we have our final 2 exercises after this. They're going to bring us to the finish line of today's Friday session with you. All right, so we'll get through those singles and try to transition right into the doubles. Hip width apart in the feet. We want our toes forward. Okay, no angle out on the toes on these ones. Soft knees, and then we drag the weights down and up the thighs. Of course, you don't have to put the dumbbells on your legs. You don't want to nick the Lulus, but we want to keep them close so that they're not out here. Because as soon as the weights are out here like this, your core, your lower back has to work way harder than if it's in here. And we're not trying to work your core and your lower back. We're trying to work the hamstrings and your glutes. We want to keep those weights in so that we don't get that extra tension that we're not looking for on these ones. It's also going to allow you to eventually be able to do heavier weights while still feeling it back there. So something to think about. I know among like 100 other things, but there's lots of stuff to talk about in our deadlifts to ensure that your form is on point. Okay, so we'll resting, and then we have one more set to go of these two deadlifts on deadlifts. This is all of them for today, for the week. Next part, there are no deadlifts in. So let's get these done. Okay, our final set, 10 singles on each side, 15 the doubles, and then we will be done here on these two. Okay, 2 more minutes, which is pretty much just enough time. So a couple deep breaths, and then let's do it. Okay, let's start here on our final set. Set number 4 for these two. There you go. And hopefully we're feeling nice and stable now by this last set of the balance. The most stable set yet. And it's your last one. Okay, so we'll finish strong and keep it even on both sides. And then we have our last set of our deadlifts, our straight leg deadlifts, 15 of them. Okay, and then we are moving on. So we'll take about 1 more minute. Very nice. See you guys all balancing so well. There it is. Okay, so we'll finish those guys up. 15 straight leg deadlifts, and then we are done here. Okay, so we'll take our time, maybe even going a little bit slower on this last set on the descent as we let those weights down, as we push those hips back. The slower we go there, the more work and tension that you're going to get on the hamstrings, on the glutes. So if you felt like those last few sets weren't the most challenging thing in the world, now is a great time to do that and add in a little bit more time to get down to the bottom, and you'll feel, hopefully, like 15 is it. Okay, we don't want to be doing more. We're thinking that we could do more. 15 is all we need and all we want for this last set. And most of us have no problem with that, okay, because we're probably feeling a lot back there by now after all that other stuff we did. So, as we are finishing up, good work, we are going to put those dumbbells down, grab a quick sip of water if you would like, and we are moving on to the final part, which is starting down on the floor. Woo! You don't need any weights. We just need this one piece of equipment, aka your body, and a mat, okay? Because the mat's going to make this substantially more comfortable. We are going to be down here, laying on our sides, working with a half side plank with our leg lift. So you hear side plank, you're probably thinking core, but this is much, much more about our hips, okay? And you'll feel what is going on here. I want you to come down and join me on the floor. We're going to be counting reps in this one. We want to set up in our half side plank. So I have this leg bent and pushed back behind me. We want to ensure that our knee and our shoulders are in line, our hips, everything is forward. We're not on an angle like this, okay? So that is the first thing. Second thing is extending this leg. We can reach this arm up, put it on our hips, okay, whatever you want to do with it. What we want to do is lift the leg and lower without touching the floor, 10 reps plus a 10-second hold in our head, okay? So let's go through our 10, up and down with the leg. If you find this is too hard, you can bend your leg in and keep it bent instead like this. 10, and then we hold. We count to 10. An honest 10 seconds in our head, okay, while holding that leg up, trying to keep it extended. 10 seconds. Once you finish that count, we're going to drop down. You can flip over, or I'm just going to turn so I can still face you guys. And then we are going to switch and do the other side. So same thing, we want to push those hips forward. So we have a nice straight line here. Arm up, leg out, 10 with the lift. Woo! Okay, again, if you need to make it easier, we can bend the leg. And then 10-second hold. Counting in our head, right? Nice, honest 10 seconds, which is way harder than it sounds when you're asked to do this after doing those 10 lifts, okay? So try your best to take that count slow. If you find it's too challenging to keep the legs straight, bring it in. That's okay. You can bend the knee. All right. Once we're finished this, we will be back down there. But we are going to stand up to the top before we do our second set down there. Grabbing onto our dumbbells. I'm going to be front loading my weights, getting myself into a squat stance. So that normal squat stance, a little wider than our hips, toes slightly angled out. Sitting down into a squat, and then I'm going to stand and shoot up onto my toes. Squat to calf raise, okay? We're working with one raise at the top, doing 15 of these total. So we'll turn to the side so you can see what's going on. We squat, and then we push up onto the toes. Trying to control that top position so we don't just accidentally kind of end up there. We want to intentionally push up and hold, and then sit back down into that squat. So we'll go through those ones, 15 of them. Try and keep those weights front loaded. You don't have to use two, same rules apply. If you have a heavier dumbbell, we can just hold the one here. And if you don't have any dumbbells, we can work this one body weight, okay, onto the toes. Whew. And a couple of them might be a little wobbly, and that's okay, but you know that that control at the top is something that we want, so try to get it in here. All right, woo! So once we're finished, we're going to do it again, 2 more sets only, okay? So 3 rounds total. We just did 1. We're going to do 2 more back down on the floor for that lovely, just kidding, it's not lovely, it is painful, it hurts, it burns, but it's going to give us a lot of work in those little muscles in our hips that we don't really work that often in our other leg exercises. They're really important, and they're going to help everything that we do get stronger, okay? Which is why you probably feel like this burns a lot and this hurts a lot in your hips here, just because we don't do this that often on these little muscles. So we'll try our best to get through this. Again, if you're really struggling, bend the leg. Something else you can do is actually touch your foot down and just work with this kind of thing here, okay? If you can't quite lift up that entire leg like this. Same thing for the hold, if you need to kind of touch your foot down a bit for the hold there, because we're getting work on both sides of the hips. So if you are, again, really struggling with this one, if you don't ever really do this kind of thing often, maybe only with me, it's been a little bit, then you might have to modify that and bring that leg in order to be able to do this. 10-second hold, and then we'll do both sides. Get back up. Squat to raise, 15, and then we have 1 more set. 3, how nice to finish this off. Better than 4. But you see why, because these are very hard and burning. All right, but this is the burn that we can work through. So it kind of sucks, but it's also great because we can push through it as much as it doesn't feel very good. All right, so we'll get through that second set of those squats, tongue twister, and then we have 1 more round of these ones. Woo! The heaps. All right, so we'll get down there and finish up our last final set of these ones. Side plank with the leg lifts. With that very tedious 10-second count. So try your best to do whatever you got to do to be honest, okay? Whether it's counting Mississippis, whether it is, watching an actual clock in your house, because some of us are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is not nearly the same as actually counting the seconds as they come and as they are, all right? So this is your last set. It's your final one for today, for the week. So let's try to go out with a bang here, make ourselves extremely uncomfortable, what we're here for, and then you are almost done, okay? So keep that in mind here as you hold for that 10 seconds. Ow! Okay. So we have about 2 minutes, well, 2 minutes left in our 60 minutes, but we'll take the next couple minutes here to just finish up. We will be going through some stretches that I will be leaving you guys with to do on your own time. There's 3 of them, and you're probably going to want to do them after doing this stuff here. But we'll take our time with this last set of these squats. 15, okay, with that nice controlled calf raise at the top. Once you're done, we can put our knee down, put it away, grab ourselves some water, okay? And we are going to go through a few stretches that you will definitely want to do. And they're going to also need your towel if you have it, okay? You can also use pretty much anything. You can use a long band, you can use a jump rope, because I see it there, because I have it here from last day, a belt, pretty much anything long like this. And of course I have options for those of you who don't have this, okay? So let's finish up our squats. Woohoo! You are done. Once you're finished, hopefully you feel good now, better than when you finished the conditioning probably. We are going to go through a few stretches. We are not going to be holding them together, but I'm going to talk about them. So if you want, you can go into holding this first one, or you can watch and just kind of do them after. Okay, I would probably suggest that you just get right into holding this first one, which is for the glutes, okay? Because we did so much work for those guys back there. So we're going to start off laying on our back, bending up our ankle onto our opposite knee, lifting up that leg, reaching through and pulling in here like this. This is going to be the first one, okay? 1 minute on each side. We're going to hold this here, 60 seconds on this side, getting that nice opening glute stretch over here. Once we're done this side, we will switch, and you can do 60 seconds on the other side. Okay, but again, if you want to stay and start that first side so that you get it in, you don't just, sign off and leave and don't do this stuff, then you can start holding that side there, okay? So we'll breathe into that one. The second one that we want to do here is for our hamstring. So I'm going to take this towel and loop it around my foot like this. And if you're not so bendy, or if your towel's kind of short like mine, then you can use a band. You can use anything long that you can reach around your foot, or you don't have to use the towel and you can just grab your leg here and pull it in like this instead. We want the leg straight, but the knee soft, and we want to make sure both of our hips on the back are staying down. Okay, so the hips not kind of curling up like this. We want to keep them down. So this is going to be our second one. And we can hold 1 minute on this side, and then you can switch and hold 1 minute on the other side like this. This side's much tighter. I probably need something a little bit longer over there. And then we can go through this hamstring stretch like this. The last one, just to kind of reinforce those other 2 that we did, is this one where we sit up, we send our legs out straight and wide, toes pointed up to the ceiling, sitting tall, but then we round our back forward and walk our hands between our feet. And this is going to give us a nice stretch down our spine, all the way through our lower back, and you'll probably feel the back of the hips a bit. Definitely the hamstrings are going to be stretching on this one too, okay? So we can hold each of these for 1 minute. Please feel free to throw in any other stretches, okay? Your hip flexors, your bow and arrow. This one will feel nice if you are feeling tight after our last few days of workouts. And then anything else you can do right now, okay? Because your body's ready to go. We're nice and warm, but you guys are done with me today, this week, on this Friday. So thank you so much for joining me. And a reminder that we have a Zoom room meeting on Sunday, if you are interested in coming to join, at 10 a.m. And it's about 15 minutes, and it's going to talk about the future of these online classes. And everyone is kind of asking me all these questions, and I am super excited to explain, and I will on Sunday. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. And if not, I will be uploading that recorded version, so you can just watch it on your own time. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will see you guys soon, hopefully. Bye. And my replay watchers, if you made it this far, you can drop a comment below Let me know you're here. Let me know how you feel after doing this session. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys Sunday or soon. Bye.